Hey Trent, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We go through and talk about your delivery and your motion, break it down to a couple spots that we look at. You're doing a lot of good things right off the bat initially. You got good balance. Looks like you have some good timing. Now it's just a matter of trying to stay back a little bit longer, stay in your legs, and I'll kind of go through and talk a little bit more about that. Basically pitching is all about creating torque, creating velocities, creating angles, but most importantly using our lower half and our legs to really pitch that ball and to create forces and everything. And we'll go through and start from the start and talk a little bit more about that. So and it's something too, as you get older and get stronger, it'll get easier. But as you kind of know and understand it now, it'll help you out a little bit more. All right, so we'll go back here to the start and go through. All right, so your initial setup's good. All right, basically we'll look at where your weight is. You see it's over your back foot, and then as you start, you see that there's not a whole lot of movement back. There's a little bit back. I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of room for movement, but I mean, you're basically as back as much as you can. We basically don't want any movement back through that release or through that start. All right, so you're doing a good job at staying over that backside through that leg lift. All right, so right here, one thing we don't want to get in the habit of doing is creating too many movements, too many unnecessary movements. So watch this glove. As that leg comes up, you can see that glove come up too, and then you can see it come back down. All right, so what that does, that just makes it harder to time. It's just little unnecessary movements. A lot of times guys will keep their hands here and keep them locked in that stomach area, and then once they feel that leg hit that glove, they know that's their timing. They know that's their way to sort of start driving forward and break those hands. So try to keep your glove from moving so much. It might come up just a little bit, but use that more to your advantage to keep it locked in place. So now we know that, boom, then you break your hands there. You break your hands here, you break your hands here, you break your hands here, instead of, traveling it up, and then as it comes back down, it might break here. You might travel back down farther, it might break here, might break here, might break here. And so there's a lot more variables. It can still be done, but it's just a little bit harder to do. All right. But initially, you're getting your hips in a pretty good spot. All right. Make sure that your hips lead you down the mound and not your foot. All right. You can see you kind of start to kick out a little bit with that back foot right here and sort of get this lean with your posture. All right. Try to keep your posture a little bit more neutral, and instead get your hips out in front and keep this foot from kind of kicking out. All right. So don't abduct that leg a little bit, or that hip. Try to keep it more neutral postured, hips here, and then keep those hips out in front as long as you can, so that at this point, maybe now you're just sort of kicking out a little bit. You're obviously going to kick out a little bit, but try to get that farther down the mound. All right, and what that's going to do is keep you in your back side a little bit more and not get out front as you get down the mound, which is going to lead you to get out of your front foot, which I sort of talked about a little bit earlier. So as you're getting out front, all right, what you're going to see this left side start to open up early. All right, and basically it's kind of hard on the angle of this video to figure out what's really a straight line towards the catcher. But it looks like it's somewhere probably right around here. And you can see how everything pops out open outside that line. All right, so at that foot strike, once that foot first hits the ground, which is right here, all right, you can see weight's out in front. All right, we can tell that because that knee's over that ankle, all right, and that back heel isn't really off the ground. All right, looks like it might almost still be on the ground. At foot strike, we want to try to see that heel start to turn a little bit. We got our weight on our knee pointing down. All right, we're probably out here a little bit, but what we're going to see is we're going to see this. All right, we're going to see that knee behind that heel somewhere. All right, so you just get more on that front side. All right, part of that leak too of early, like I said, we're kind of opening up. If we're drawing a line straight from the ball of our foot to that catcher, we should land somewhere around that that line with a little bias to the closed side instead of the open side. But too, this right shoulder starting to pop open early. So at foot strike, we're going to hopefully see you out here somewhere. But we're going to see this front shoulder closed off and that glove out over that front foot. All right. And so that's going to get you to get down the mound. It's going to help you stay back in that back leg. And then through your release point, you can see here, as I mark your elbow path, it's kind of, everything's pulling off your right side, and it's getting thrown uphill and pushed instead of driven downhill. All right, so you can see here, you're reaching off. It looks like your eyes are kind of pulling off to the third base side, but you're seeing this jump off the rubber and pushed uphill. All right, we want to try to get to that point where, because that front leg is going to be out a little bit more here, all right, you're going to get to this point. I'll get back to your foot strike right here, where instead of this, you're leaning back so much, there's going to be a little bit of more neutralness, but this elbow is going to, and shoulders are going to be a little bit flatter. That ball is going to be up a little bit higher. So that elbow path, there's going to be a little bit up, but it's going to be more down. So you're going to be able to drive downhill a little bit more to use that body, because through that release point, you can see everything's getting thrown uphill, pulled off to the side, and we want to get your head's right over here. You can see you kind of lifting up on the toes too, but at release point, we want to still have that back foot still on the ground. It's probably slid out from the mound a little bit. Let's just say it's right here. And we're out creating this angle over our front foot. All right, so now our head and our chest are out over our front foot, and we're going to release the ball closer with more angle too. All right, so we just basically want to stay through that back leg a lot longer, so everything's kind of getting pulled off early through that release and getting pulled uphill. So and really all it is just a function of you pulling off early with that right side a little bit, but it's just basically not staying closed far enough down the mound. All right, so just work on staying closed down the mound, reaching out somewhere down here, but don't think about getting it from your right foot. Think about getting it from your hip, staying closed longer, and that's going to help you out a lot, get you throwing the ball downhill, using angles. It'll get you more velocity and more power. So anyways, overall that initial setup is good. Now it's just a matter of getting that feel of that lower half, using those legs. And like I said before, as you get older, you get stronger, you get a little bit easier. But just something to work on this season. So, but anyways, good luck this season. Thanks for making it out to camp. Hopefully you had a great time, and hopefully we'll see you again with ABC.